Danas smo ispred Ambasade Ukrajine u Beogradu, Paje Adamova 4, gde ćemo imati jedinstvenu priliku da razgovaramo sa njegovom ekscelencijom, ambasadorom Volodimirom Tolkačem. Zemlja, koja je prva napisala Ustav i poseduje četvrtinu svetski plodnog zemljišta, danas je u središtu svetske pažnje, a mogu da kažem i svetske krize. Kako je moguće da će jednoj takvoj zemlji sa tolikim istorijskim i prirodnim bogatstvima da se dešava ovakva trenutna kriza? Danas ćemo razgovarati o izazovima i budućnosti Ukrajine, o njenim istorijskim vezama sa Srbijom, kao i o ulozi diplomatije u ovim turbulentnim vremenima. Ostanite sa nama, jer će ovo biti razgovor koji osvetljava ne samo geopolitiku, već i ljudsku priču iza naslova. Vaša ekscelencijo, gospodine Volodimir Tolkač, hvala što ste nam dozvolili da danas radimo ovaj intervju i da budemo vaši gosti.
Glad to see you in our embassy.
Kako mi u Srbiji često volimo da kažemo ko poznaje prošlost, znači šta će se desiti u budućnosti. Voljela bih da sada odemo u malo dalju prošlost i da govorimo o jednom Ukrajincu koji je, čini mi se, promenio i Ukrajinu, ali i ceo svet u tom trenutku. Reč je o Filipu Orliku koji je napravio prvi ustav na svetu. Nakon toga voljela bih i da napomenem da Ukrajina ukupno poseduje 1/4 plodnog zemljišta čitave planete Zemlje. I moje pitanje, konačno, kako je moguće da se tako jednoj zemlji sa takvom istorijom, sa takvom kulturom i sa takvim pozicijama dešava ovo što je danas u centru sveta?
It's a historical and geographical problem for us. First of all, you see, you mentioned before about Orlik, who presented his first Ukrainian constitution in 1710. But I would like to mention that the second constitution adopted here in Serbia in 1835, as I remember. And in this case, we are also first who did this step, Serbian and Ukrainian. And our history is sometimes very near one to another, as well as we have a lot of neighbors around us. Our neighbor is huge, and sometimes it's tried to stole not only our territories as today, but also our history and our culture. And in this case, we're always under the enemy. As you know, today we have this very bloody conflict, bloody aggression against our country about Russian Federation. And we very good understand this intention of Russia to do all that Ukraine would disappear in this world. You see, sometimes we have had that we are brothers. It's first step. Second step, we are one nation. And third step, Ukrainian must disappear because it's something not, it's not nation. It's some group of Nazis. You see, it's a political playing, but unfortunately this playing always ends by the blood of our citizens, of our people. And it's not first time. We always feel this enemy from the north, from the east of Ukraine, because we always, it's not first time, we at the beginning of 20th century, we had our first state, Ukrainian People Republic, who disappeared after 3 years. But we were part of Soviet Union also as a Ukrainian Republic. It's circumstances of our first history. So sometimes here I feel that we have very, very near history, our history like Serbian and Serbian like our So I think that Serbian can understand and very good feel our situation.
Rođeni ste 17. januara 1959. godine u Kijevu. Po zanimanju ste hidrogeološki inženjer. Kako je vaše detinjstvo u Kijevu oblikovalo vaše interesovanja i odluke za buduću karijeru?
Sometimes in China say that we would like to propose our enemy to live in the time for changes. Unfortunately, all of us living in this time of changes. In this case, I may say that my life also divide, or I have two lives in my life. Yes, exactly. I graduated as a geologist, hydrogeologist, and worked in some areas in Sakhalin, new island, and I complete my first life in Chernobyl NPP zone. In those time, our Minister of Foreign Affairs need a lot of people because we were a very young state. And in this case, who has some experience in their work with international companies or institutions, joint Minister of Foreign Affairs. In Chernobyl, I had a few program with Japanese Institute for Nuclear Power, with Great Britain. So I joined after Chernobyl our ministry, and from 1994 I am a diplomat and begin my second life.
Spomenuli ste u jednom od intervjua da se vaš deda borio protiv fašista tokom Drugog svetskog rata, a da se danas protiv sličnih pošasti bore vaši sinovi, odnosno sinovi Ukrajine. Na koji način vas je vaš deda inspirisao u vašoj diplomatskoj karijeri i borbi za prava Ukrajine na međunarodnoj sceni?
You see, my relatives or history of my family, it's more deeper than my grandfather. My grandfather, he was first deputy of Ukrainian People Republic in 1918. So all our lives and all my grandfathers and mothers, as well as my parents, they always understand that we defend our Ukraine. Ukraine is a part of part of the Soviet Union. Ukraine as an independent state. So in this case, it's not something. It's not surprise for me. It's just very logically way for all of us.
Od 1994. godine pa sve do 1996. godine bili ste prvi sekretar Kancelarije Zajednice nezavisnih država. Kako su vaša iskustva iz tog perioda, vaše rane diplomatije, imali uticaj na vaš kasniji rad, a posebno u ovom slučaju mislim u kontekstu postsovjetskih odnosa?
It was very interesting time because in those time the Commonwealth of Independent State recognized, all countries recognized themselves. For example, Russian Federation tried to create a new Soviet Union who would be named Commonwealth of Independent States. Ukraine tried to build, to create some new relations between new independent countries. And in this way, we have a lot of problem because sometimes we feel, not sometimes, we always feel some dictate from Russian side. For example, Russian tried to use doubts of Soviet Union to create some relation with West countries, first of all with Paris Club and London Club of credit clubs. And in this case, they try to say, okay, guys, we will speak on behalf of our and you. So in this case, please be careful. In those times, as you remember, we signed the Budapest Memorandum, and also Russian Federation have very good close relation with United States, with British, with France, and in this case they try to use this relation and avoid to spread nuclear power and nuclear weapons, first of all. And it's not only Russian intention, it's intention of all other countries to control nuclear weapons on one hand. Today we pay a lot of our blood after this decision, because without nuclear weapons, we are under the full Russian aggression and we lost a lot of our citizens.
9 godina ste proveli kao ambasador Ukrajine u Kuvajtu, a nakon toga i kao otpravnik poslova u Makedoniji. Koji su bili glavni diplomatski izazovi u tim zemljama koje ste kasnije primenili na vaše sadašnje iskustvo? I eto, ako ništa, kao nešto što nosite iz Makedonije jeste i to što govorite tečno makedonski jezik.
First of all, I would like a little bit to add to your information, because some of my friends, they always joke with me and say that nothing changed in my life. Before I went to the field working as a geologist, then I went to some field working as a diplomat, because I began my diplomat career outside of Ukraine as OSCE officer in Georgia, then continue in Nagorno-Karabakh. As you remember, it was very interesting for me time, because I arrived to Macedonia just after the Ohrid agreement, when the conflict between two nations in Macedonia stopped. Maybe you remember that our president decided with Boris Trajkovsky to unfortunately he died in this aircraft crash. We delivered our helicopters, and in those times it tried to stop this war, because all sides think that it's not some benefits from this conflict. So, first of all, what I understand in my life as a diplomat, as well, I continue in Iraq and then in Kuwait. Kuwait is my first peaceful position. So what I understand in my life, that diplomats cannot dictate something in their life. First of all countries have their own interests, their own understanding of their life, and diplomat need only one, to seek some mutual interests for two countries, and try to avoid some misunderstandings, and never dictate something for somebody. It's not diplomatic style. In this case, I always think that the diplomacy of a strong country, it's not very popular, and because it's not diplomacy.
Is there any other better name for diplomacy then?
It's some diplomacy as a tank. I always remember some historical example when one Rome general came to Syria in the past years, and Syrian intended to go with the war to Egypt. Egypt was ally of Rome, so he asked the Syrian leader come and give him the question, he will go or no, to have this war. And Syrians try to avoid to answer for this question. In this case, he did circle on the ground and say, you give me this question before you will cross this. It's a good example of diplomacy of big countries, but it's not diplomacy. It's some of the demonstration of the force.
Od 2019. godine do 2021. godine radili ste u Odeljenju za ljudska prava Saveta Evrope. Kako vidite značaj ljudskih prava u današnjem svetu i kako bi, recimo, Srbija i Ukrajina mogle zajedno da rade na promociji tih prava?
First of all, I may say that it was very good next changes in my life after 9 years in Muslim country to come to the Department of Gender Problems and Human Rights. Second, and it's serious, I always think about something changes in the war. After 1948, our world changed very quickly for some other principles. Before, we live in the principles of territorial integrity, fixed borders and so on. But when in 1948 we adopted, all of us adopted the Declaration of Human Rights, we come to some other era, because today all try to defend rights of all the people on the world. In this case, you may interfere to some other countries. And it's true, it's maybe good for all human of the world. But in this case, it's not very strong fixed principles. How you may do it, and how you may interference to other countries. Some countries who not very clear try to keep the principles of territorial integrity and other adopted before. They try to mix human rights and old principles of territorial integrity. We need to create some kind of rules how we will do it. And what principles need to be of human rights would be more significant for all of us. For example, the right for life. It's one of the basic principles. Do we put on one stage with right for life of all the people? Some other is question that might be discussed. In this case, we have a lot of deal how to do it in the European Union, because as you see, today the principles of territorial integrity in European Union not disappeared, but on the second row. Human rights principle were the first one. So we need to understand how we will live in this new situation. How we need to defend the rights, for example, national minority rights in our countries. What legislation we will try to keep and how we will do it. In this case, we on the one boat and we need to help one to another, because sometimes it's very sensitive and very difficult how to defend these principles in our situation. For example, some countries, I told you, use these principles not clear. It's very diplomatic determination. For example, what does it mean, Russian speakers? And how I would like to defend Russian speakers population. I am Russian speakers population. You will come to my country to defend my rights? Who decided that you will come to my country and defend my right as a Russian speaker. And so a lot of very dirty playing using the human rights, and we need to do something with this.
Vaša ekscelencijo, voljela bih da govorimo i o istorijskim odnosima Srba i Ukrajinaca. U prošlosti mnogi Srbi su migrirali u Ukrajinu formirajući dve regije, poput Nove Srbije i Slavljano-Serbije. Nakon vremena, oko 100.000 Srba asimiliralo je, odnosno utopili su se u ukrajinsku zajednicu. Pomenula bih takođe i ratove 90-ih i humanitarnu pomoć koja je stizala od strane Ukrajine, a pored toga zemljotres u Kraljevu 2010. godine. Zbog čega sam sve ovo navela? Zato što i danas ova situacija koja se dešava, misleći na to što je Ukrajina podržala teritorijalni integritet Srbije po pitanju Kosova, i ne samo što je podržala, nego podržava i dalje. I kada govorimo o NATO bombardovanju, eto, imat ćemo priliku i da vidimo i papir koji govori o dopisu Ukrajine i o siromašenom uranijumu tih godina. Moje konačno pitanje, dakle kako bih zaokružila sada sve ovo što sam navela, da li mislite da bi bilo logično da možda Srbija snažnije podrži Ukrajinu u ovom trenutku i da li generalno smatrate da je Srbija prijatelj Ukrajine?
I come a little bit back, speaking and say that my principle, my own individual principle, not to dictate something. I may only give you my own opinion about this. What I can tell you, when I came here to Serbia, unfortunately, all diplomats need to prepare it more carefully for their work in some countries. Unfortunately, I was surprised how near we are in our culture and history. Because, first of all, you mentioned about Slavana Serbia and Nova Serbia and Ukraine. It's part when part of your populations that's named Granichar, as I remember, they came to Ukraine to defend part of the Ukraine from against Ottoman Empire. At the same time, part of Ukrainian Cossacks settled in after the agreement with Austro-Hungarian Empire. They settled in Serbia and tried to do the same. So, why I tell you about this example? Because this part of our Slavic world, Cossacks, Granichar, they did the same work in their own language and then the other Slavic language. They defend the border of Slavic population from Ottoman Empire and Crimean Tatars, who was the ally of Turkey. It's put some the same behavior of our people, to be free, to do what they want, never to think what say somebody in the highest level, and so on. So it's good and bad, because good we are free and can do what we need and try to do it ourselves. In Ukraine, our people always look what they can do near their house as well as in Serbia, and never think what will help them from the president or somebody else. But at the same time, it's very difficult to gather it. Sometimes I think that anarchy is the best regime for our people, because they like to be free and do what they want. The same situation in culture. And now we come to your question. Yes, we always, and it's systematically from from the beginning of our independence. In 1999, we tried to defend territorial integrity of Serbia. I just remember and give one of the document. It's statement of our parliament in 21st of May 1999, when we criticized the NATO bombing of former Yugoslavia and Serbia. You may see it in internet. I will present you this paper. At the same time, our ministry was here. He tried to speak with Milosevic and tried to seek some compromise how to stop bombing. Unfortunately, Mr. Tarasuk, who was Minister of Foreign Affairs, told me during our conversation, unfortunately, I didn't give the peace for Serbian, but I only present 3 hours without bombing, because for his visit of Serbia, NATO stopped to bombing Yugoslavia, Serbia. Anyway, it's our stable position, and it's very good understanding. And we would be glad to see, and we see this strong position last 5 years from Serbian side, from Serbian president, from Serbian government, from your parliament. We will be happy if you will you continue to support our territorial integrity. We highly appreciate your government for your humanitarian support, because it's huge support. Really, you know that you prepared this Center for Ukrainian Refugees in Vranje. You gave our children to rest here in Serbia. Our children under the bombing, they have 2-3 weeks. They can little bit rest here. So, and you gave us a lot of humanitarian aids from spouse of your president, Tamara Vučić, as well as from your government. Just after the Russian implosion of our dam in Kakhovka, because in those times we need a lot of drink water for people and so on. Anyway, it's our way. I think it's part of our traditional historical good relation, and it's good for our common future. Common future, because we need to assist one to another in our way to European Union, as well as we need to live in the European family together. It's we don't have any other alternatives in this situation. So, for me, one of my ideas to prepare some kind of conference and try to boost our dialogue about our historical relation. It was for me it's very interesting. I think it would be interesting not only for me but for our future also.
That's for sure, Your Excellency. I'll go back just quickly on the document that you gave it to me. It was saying, so it's 1999, so back then you mentioned about the NATO bombing and uranium, that we didn't know about that back then. So the consequences we know now.
So I know that this document initiated by parties who named now, Russia named it Nazi, this party, but it's Ukrainian National Party who tried to defend all national states in the world, as well as Serbia. It was Ukrainian Democracy Party, Ruch of Ukraine, and some others. So I know that we prepared this. One of the circumstances of this document was that we tried to defend Serbian population in Kosovo and our so-named Ukropol Bat, staying near the Stripce and tried and defend first of all Serbian population. It was part of UNOMIC, but we use all this opportunity to do it. Unfortunately, we withdraw our soldiers at the beginning of full-scale aggression of Russia. Now we are not part of the peacekeeping unit. But really, what I think we need in this case, in the Ukrainian case now, and all others, we need to be more closer one to another, because one voice, it's only one singer. We need to join all voices of all who try to do something in this world.
Nedavno ste izjavili da je rat u Ukrajini borba za slobodu i za nezavisnost. Kako mislite da ovaj rat utiče na globalni poredak i kakvu ulogu Srbija može imati u tom trenutku u vidu podrške?
You see, we very good understand, or we try to understand the position of Serbia. Unfortunately, after 2014, the world became for Ukraine only black and white. It's understandable, using the friends or enemies. It's understandable in in our situation. And we would be glad to see Serbia as our full friend. But we understand situation and historical roots of Serbian position. And I hope, no, I'm not hope, I believe that Serbia will have the same way with us. And we would be in this situation. And I also see how developed situation here in Serbia, that Russian propaganda, very huge, but it's mean that we need to work more active. So let's help one to another. In the form and intention of this help, it's let's say it's your own business, but we will be happy to strengthen this support.
Kako se Ukrajina bori protiv ruskih propagandnih narativa, posebno onih koji na neki način Ukrajince pokazuju u negativnom svetlu? Koje korake preduzimate u Srbiji, recimo, da se osigurate da se istina o situaciji o Ukrajini čuje i razume? Da li možete da mi navedete neki konkretan primer?
I think that, first of all, Russia used our historical roots, our common historical roots, as their own one. We mentioned about Slavena Serbia and Nova Serbia. These two areas situated in Ukraine. I may say more. One of our historical who investigate this, he tried to, he wrote that first Serbian attempt to be in Russia was in Ural, but it was negative example. In Ukraine it was positive. Today Russia destroyed the fully destroyed the administrative center of former center of Slavena Serbia, town Bakhmut. It's nothing. It's disappeared on the map. So Second, some of country try to do something, to invest in economic of Serbia. But we need to do it in a culture sphere. We need to do it in historical sphere, as I told you. It's my idea to, first of all, to refresh it. We need to do it in all things. For example, you know that Partizan now played with Dynamo Kiev. My condolence. But Partizan financed by NIS, Naftova Industrija Serbia. NIS under the Russian influence, as well as Gazprom directly finance your sport club Crvena Zvezda. It's not secret for all of us. This is good example how to influence to your public public opinion. It's very old. It's very long time they did it, and it's understandable that we cannot change this in at once. We need time for this, but we will try to do it.
Are you taking some kind of steps, like in Serbia, to ensure that the truth about the situation in Ukraine is heard and understood? Sometimes, I mean, we had examples that Ukrainians in media, they've been showed negatively, as I can say that.
I told you before that for Ukraine, unfortunately, sometimes say that when rifle begin to speak, diplomats have to keep silent. I told you that for Ukraine, this word became black and white. And in this case, for us today, it's for our mass media, it's very difficult to be on the ground to see. They only use some information from your newspapers and from others. At the beginning, when I came here in 2022, I tried to organize, and we did it. In August, we organized the visit of your journalists to Ukraine, because I very good understand that all of us need to see something on the ground. My next idea to do the same visit of Ukrainian journalists here to Serbia, because they also need to see it on the ground. Sometimes it's shock when they see Serbia, Russia zajedno, something else, but I think they need to see it, to first of all, to feel it more deeply, that only to see this some on the way, pictures on the way or something else. So it's our work. We need to do it.
Spomenuli ste takođe da je ruski uticaj u Srbiji značajan. Kako ocenjujete ovaj uticaj i na koji način bi Srbija mogla možda da balansira između odnosa Rusije i Ukrajine?
Let's, first of all, I try to divide your question in two. We need to stop this war. For us, we try to defend our territorial integrity. And it's one of the principles that might be a good example, not only for us, but for all of others. Second, Ukraine towns destroyed totally. You know that today we need our electricity system destroyed maybe more than 80%. And in our towns, now it's a little bit better, but before we have electricity, for example, in Kiev, only during 8 hours per day. And so there are a lot of work. And we will be glad to see Serbian companies, first of all, structure company, that they would be involved to this process. For this, we need only one, to stop this war. But I would like at least to turn your attention to one. For stopping the war, Putin need only to leave our territory and war will be stopped. If we will stop the war, we will disappear. If we will do it with support of other country, we will free our country and defend it. No, Putin wouldn't be stopped on our west boundary. Be sure he will come for other country.
Šta će se desiti posle izbora u novembru 2024. godine? Da li to znači da će odnosi između Ukrajine i Amerike biti drugačiji ili će ostati isti?
Some changes, I emphasized for the some, would be, it's understandable. But what I can tell you, just the word that democracy is bad, but what you can give better than the democracy. Very long time, our allies tried to help us, but they did it very slowly. The dictator regime of Russia did it very quickly, just during 1 year. Why I tell you about this? In democracy state, to do very sharp changes, very difficult. And I am sure that all changes of in United States or some other democracy country will be in the general road that they determine themselves. Yes, it's some headache for all of us, some wait for changing in the United States with very huge optimism that it will change. I am not so for better for some of the, for example, for Russia or somebody else. I know that it's, in my experience, nobody can do it very quickly in the democratic states because they have stable system, political system, and they need to take into account all voices from their society. And in this case, I try to be optimist.
Na kraju, iako je veoma teško predvidjeti budućnost, kako vidite budućnost Ukrajine nakon sukoba? Šta mislite da bi bili možda ključni faktori za postizanje dugoročnog mira i stabilnosti u regionu? I kakva je uloga Srbije u tom slučaju?
I see this process. All these 3 years, I saw this process, how changed the behavior of Serbia. At the first time I saw some car with Ukrainian plates and somebody scratched that in our cars. Today, this opinion disappeared. I see, first of all, very attentive behavior of Serbia for Ukrainians. They didn't have something about for Ukrainians. Maybe some other political opinion opposite Ukraine. Sometimes think that Ukraine only in the hand of other countries, and they don't play their own policy. It's not right. It's not right because we try to defend our country. That's right. How we do it with our friends, with our allies, against our enemies. That's what we have to do in the future. I told you, if we will disappear, now we are on the first line of this front between dictate and democracy. Who would be second if we will lost our country? nobody knows. But I'm sure we didn't lost it. We wouldn't lost it.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for this interview. It was such an inspirational conversation. So I hope, I really hope, that Ukrainian and Serbia, they will find out and they will recognize their friends.
So I also would like to explain my high appreciation for our interview, because first time in Serbia you ask me and I have to give you all history of my life. So it's first. Second, really step by step, all our relation, all our explanation of our opinion gave some little step for understanding between our nations. So really, thank you for your coming and your interview.
You're welcome. I'll come back for sure.
Welcome to Ukraine.
Čuli ste ekskluzivni razgovor sa ambasadorom Ukrajine, njegovom ekscelencijom Volodimirom Tolkačem. Izlazim sa poklonom u ruci, dve ptice koje simbolizuju mir i prijateljstvo, a možda i pomirenje. Čuli smo inspirativne priče danas, od ličnih iskustava do velike diplomatije koja oblikuje svet. Ostanite sa nama za još inspirativnih priča koje stižu iz sveta.